What up? What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. God bless. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's get into this thing. I'm excited to be here. Another day, just another day. Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. Let me make sure I do this because I don't know how I keep forgetting my peeps. Let's go to my Flock Note people. So make sure you are sharing. Sharing is caring. And make sure you're being a part of this broadcast. Make sure you tag somebody as we dig into this very controversial, seems like, issue and continue this because it's a conversation that is definitely needed. It is causing a divide in my house. Nah, we're just having a lot of discussion about it. And I'm fine with it because it needs to be had, needs to be said, needs to be talked about. Wife said she might not watch today, but I'm hoping she does so because I want her in this conversation because it needs to be, it's a conversation that needs to be had and needs to be discussed as well. And I feel like it is helpful to the growth of our society and us as a people just coming together, reaching some understanding. But the key is reaching some understanding. And we're going to dig into this. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. And I appreciate you guys being here. I have my brother, Kaneem Curvey, coming in the building. Pass is running a little behind, but he will be here as well. To my podcast people, I appreciate you. Make sure you rate, review, and let the world know what the Brothers of Legacy are doing. We are tackling this conversation. And if you know anything about me, I'm not a hard, masculine kind of dude. So we're coming from a great space. Hey, Mama Corey, thank you for rocking with us always. All right, let me get my brother from another mother in the building. I'm looking to see if he's ready. He got his arm sticking out, so he might be fixing something. So he'll give me the thumbs up when he's ready. Once again, welcome to the Brothers of Legacy. Today we're talking about toxic masculinity, origins and definitions. Toxic masculinity, origins and definitions. Yesterday we talked about the blurred lines. We got a little bit of resolve, but you know, I feel like this may be a 2-week conversation in order for us to really get into a space of understanding and defining the rules, or what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's a preference as opposed to what is disrespectful. And we're going to dig into that as well, because there are preferences, but it's knowing the preference. How do you know the preference? And I guess using a general rule of thumb as me and my wife begin to discuss that as well. What's the general rule of thumb, and how we can make this thing work. All right, give me a thumbs up, Curry. I see him sitting in the background. If you're ready, throw the thumbs up. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Nope. You look like you got the struggle bus happening. Maybe, possibly. All right. So yeah, we're gonna dig into the definition. And it's funny. I looked up where the word toxic masculinity came from. I was sure I knew kind of sort of where it came from, but I was surprised at the definition and the history of where the word came from and who used it first. And it's crazy how, someone in a non-academic field comes up with the term and the academic field kind of grabs a hold and utilizes it as well. But I think the blanket of toxic masculinity has been thrown over so many things that it makes for a divisive argument, because there are things that are just uncomfortable. There are preferences, and then there's a toxic masculinity culture in spaces, but there's also toxic masculinity offenses. So we're gonna dig into that. All right, because we got a lot. All right. Let me see if my brother, you good? Let's see if we can get him in here. All right, the struggle is real. I don't see his face. There we go. We're right there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly, brother?
Yes, indeed. I can hear
All
you
right, all right, all
very,
right.
very well. All right. So we're gonna have a great conversation about toxic masculinity, um, the
Mm,
environment that we put our ladies in, and um, properly approaching and having conversations and things of that nature, and what that looks like. And I'm talking about the origins and definitions, and we're gonna have a great debate about this.
okay, okay. I thank you for breaking that down for me. I know you gave me a heads up, but I
Yes.
appreciate you for going into detail a
Yes,
little
indeed.
further.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Oh, let's see. Good morning, Keita in the building. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this intro off, and we'll be right back. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Let's get it. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So today we're talking about toxic masculinity, its definitions and origins. The thing is, defining it is kind of an interesting thing. So my wife, she sent me some of the definitions. I had some written down, but then the one she sent me is kind of interesting. So it describes, so in what site is this? This looks like just okay, Wikipedia defines masculinity as strength, courage, independence, and leadership. All right, take that, put a pin in it. Right. So, and it was this healthline.com defines toxic masculinity as mental and physical toughness, aggression, stoicism, and not displaying emotion. I'm gonna look up an exact word, but it says heterosexism or discrimination against people who aren't heterosexual. I guess like the homophobic and things of that nature, and emotional insensitivity. Now I can get the emotional insensitivity, um, but the self sufficiency as a toxic masculine trait, and then at a masculinity spot, independence. Was like I'm self sufficient. Is that a bad thing? I'm independent. Is that a good thing? So it's just small little things like that that, like I talked about yesterday, kind of blur the line of what is really toxic masculinity. Like some years ago, and Dr. Rollins put me onto it. I don't know, I missed it. It was during the Super Bowl. Gillette had a commercial where they oh, she's in the house. Sam's in the house. She said, Kadeem Curvey in the house.
What up,
So
Sam?
so, and it showed, spots of, boys fighting and allowing that to happen, things like that, things that we have, at least us, I know me and you growing up would be considered the boys being boys and the norm. Some of it has now, turned into a sensitive issue. And I get it, because a lot of things that's happened in the workplace with women and how they were treated, or looked upon, or comments, ooh, girl, you looking like, at work, and making them making ladies feel uncomfortable. 100% with it that needs to change. And then there's of course, there's that toxic masculinity environment where it's not just one guy. It's like coming from the managers. It's coming from upper man. Like, and it's allowed. They go complain. Well, girl, boys will be boys. You get to, you gotta deal with it because it's just what we do. So I 100% get how that is toxic. It's an environment, and it has to change. Because I don't want my wife going to work feeling uncomfortable. I don't want my daughter. I don't want my mother. The people closest to us. We don't want that to happen. So it's kind of changing that. On the other hand, like we get into the approaching of our ladies, right? You're single, you want to shoot your shot. Like Kirby mentioned yesterday, he sees her across the street. He gives it ooh, just to kind of give her attention.
She looking for where it's coming from.
Right.
I got to raise my hand. It's coming from over here.
So then we get into if you approach her like that and you got a positive response, in your mind, you feel like this is how you shoot your shot. On the other hand, like talking to Sam, Sam is my wife, just in body clarity. She was like, she would find that disrespectful. That's not a good way. That's uncomfortable. And I get where she's coming from, because I would ask my daughter, like, hey, how'd you meet this dude? I was walking down the street. Ooh. And he ran up to me. I'm like, okay. And my thing would be like, I guess you fine with that. Because it doesn't, I don't know. I won't necessarily say that speaks to the character of a person because like I've said yesterday, like you have a moment. I may never see you again. So in my mind, I go home thinking like, oh, I should have did something. Oh, I should have said something. Oh, I should have approached her. Like, oh, and back in the day, you may go to the same spot, like maybe I'll see her again. But chances are she might have just been going to an interview. She don't hang out in this area, So it's those moments. So those are like, to me, the blurred lines. Those are like maybe a preference. And then, so do I tell my son, that's not how you should approach a woman. That's not how you should get at a woman.
And I like the way that you are teaching your son by what you're telling me now.
Yeah.
Because as somebody who is young, who does not have a father figure,
right.
you learn from the men around, or the boys and men around
you. Right. Yes.
Indeed. So if the boys and men around you are scoot,
right.
You know what I'm saying? If the boys and men around you are just grabbing females' hands.
Right.
And not even saying nothing. I just grab her hand like, hold on, young lady, let me talk to you for a minute. Yeah, but that may be offensive. Why are you touching me? Why you just can't? You know what I'm saying? But that's what you learn from the men around you. But anyway, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. No. You good. Because that's kind of the vein. And then, I'm gonna mention my wife several times because, like I said, this has been kind of hot topic in our house. But I want to have this conversation because having a son, especially, Dr. Ron said, yes, teach him. Yeah, good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Aunt Sam. So having, a son and a daughter, it's like, I want to teach my son the right parameters, because let's keep it real. Like when things like this are occurring, as like laws begin to happen, people put things on the books like touching a woman may become an assault straight out the gate. Like, and I don't want my son getting locked up because he was taught wrong or he's watching, so I want to make sure, son, just like being black and the cop pull you over, like, son, I need you to know some of these maybe unwritten or unspoken rules of how to handle things. She said, don't mention me. Girl, you are part of my life. You bounce off me. But yeah, so I want to make sure my son is handling himself properly. And at the same time, not being disrespectful, I'm sure, my wife will teach him things as well. And I'll reinforce it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather, if there's a blurred line, even because sometimes the things are blurred. That some things are acceptable. They're not really, but they're accepted by some. But I'd rather you just stay on the side of the general what's accepted rule, like what's
Yeah.
acceptable, and be
And
in a
and
safe space.
yeah, and the way that you speak, because I mean I've only met your son maybe twice,
Yeah,
but the way that you speak, I think he needs all the information that you're giving him, so he'll have a broad
right,
viewing of the world instead of so narrow.
right,
And like when I was young, my mother, single mother, right?
right.
I went to my first club at 13,
Wow.
called the Rhinestone Wrangler. Hey, hey, my cousin, I'm 13 now. He like 18, 19, but he
Right,
brought me up there. He stick a cigarette in my mouth and he's like, "Don't smoke it. Don't
right.
smoke it now, because you're
Yes,
gonna choke yourself."
right.
But you just have this, how them old men let that cigarette hang in their mouth right there. He said, he said, just let it hang in your
Right,
mouth.
right.
And we walked right up in the club,
Of
man.
course.
At 13 years old.
Wow.
So me watching them
Right,
talk,
right.
I mean, plus I looked up to them.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
older than me,
That
they
too.
five,
That too.
6 years older than me.
Right,
So I'm
right.
seeing how they move,
Exactly.
and the way they move, they was, it was more of, hey, we gonna, like how you say, shoot your shot.
Right, right,
Every female you see that gives you shit, hey, that's it. Because it was about a competition. That's what they were
right,
teaching me. How many numbers
right,
can you get tonight? Well, I
right,
got I got 5 numbers. How many numbers
right,
you get? I got 7 numbers. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So,
right,
and this was at a young age.
right,
So them numbers end up turning into conversations.
right.
Those
Yep.
conversations end up turning into relationships.
Right,
Those relationships turn into sexual encounters.
right.
So,
Yep.
it's like at 13 you start
Yep.
and you just progress.
Yep.
So you catching your son at a young age,
Yeah.
he won't have that. Well, I ain't gonna say he won't have that,
Yeah.
but he'll understand
Yeah.
that he got to listen to
That's
what his daddy. Hey,
yeah.
the daddy taught you better than that.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you think you finna go out here and listen to your older cousin
Right.
or somebody that's a little bit more mature than you,
Right.
remember what your dad said.
Right. Right.
But
Right. You're right. And having and then reiterating, would you treat your mother that way? Or do you want your
yeah,
sister being treated that way? Just keeping that in mind. So talking about some of the history of where the word toxic masculinity came from, as far as my deep Google research, I found out it was started by a gentleman named Shepherd Bliss. He was the one that began to use it, and he had this movement, men's movement called the mythopoetic men's movement. So it got known. I never heard of it. Known in the 80s and 90s. You ever heard of that term? Mythopoetic men's movement. Remember there's no internet, so I guess
nah,
unless you part of certain circles,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm sure that's something that was, folks that didn't look like us. They kind of,
yeah. You right about that.
and it was designed to define what toxic masculinity was, and he came up with the term to separate toxic masculinity from what you're supposed to be doing as a man. Out the hunter and to the provider, the protector. I think his move was to take away from the aggression, to take away from what was happening, probably during the women's movement, so I'm sure he was kind of probably influenced and seeing how women were disrespected. So he was trying to teach men to be more respectful or to be the hunters, to be the providers, but not disrespect women in the process. So it blew my mind because I was sure it was going to be one of the women that would lead one of the movements and charges, and and I was totally surprised that they took this term and it's been put into academia.
Mm.
So yeah, it's having no, but then it's like I said, the definition, like when you say like, is there racism at the job or is Bob just racist? Like I sometimes I consider it and I try to look at it that way because I gotten told by someone that I'm not supposed to mention. Sometimes it's hard to see it because I'm the one on top, and I'm like, you're right. I'm the white dude.
Mm.
So I'm the one in a place of privilege. So sometimes it's harder for us to understand it or really see it.
I
And
feel that.
yeah, and I had to eat that. I'm like, you're right, you're right. So so we have the conversation. I try to hear and understand where she's coming from, where my wife is feeling, because I want to know, and that's why I'm having these conversations. And I know we're gonna dig into it more. My main thing is, and I'll ask you, do you think as a man that we need to lead the charge to change the environment, or is it the women's job that they need to change in order to fit? Well, how am I trying to put this? Trying to fit, like they said, the Instagram models, like they're encouraging it more, or do you think we just need to change our actions? No
That's a
sticky.
good question. That's a good. That's a good
Okay.
question, brother. I think it's more weighted on the men. I mean, I could say it's both together, but I think it's more weighted on the men because the women who are you say are Instagram models,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
they're following,
Right.
or most of their groupies,
Yes.
most of the people who are giving them this attention is men.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I mean, don't get me
Right.
wrong. It is a new age where what they call it start with a P. Where there is no heterosexual or homosexual. It's just a
Oh.
free sexual.
Right.
I can't think of the name.
So we're gonna bust in the comments if you know
Yeah,
what he's
yeah.
talking
It's
about.
a
Bust it in
name
the
for it, but I can't. It start with a P, but I can't think of it
comments.
right now. But
Got it.
anyway, I think it's more on the men
Right.
because as in our natural nature,
Yeah.
it is to seek female companionship.
Right.
To me, now, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a new day and age, but
Right.
from where I grew up,
Yeah.
that was our natural state was to seek female companionship,
Right.
and it wasn't always in a sexual nature, but you just wanted to cater to females.
There you
Like
go.
you was taught to open doors and
Right.
pansexual. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so you was taught to open doors, and you
Right.
was taught to be. It was certain etiquette
Right. Right.
and
Right.
and
Right.
and and a moral compass that was instilled in you by what you saw your grandparents do or your
Mm-hmm.
great grandparents do.
Right.
Because for me, I never saw my grandparents
Okay.
argue or curse or you
Right.
know what I'm saying, like not in front of us. You know what I'm
Right. Right.
saying.
Right. Right.
So now I'm not saying they didn't have arguments,
Of course. Of
but
course.
if they had a disagreement,
Right.
it was not performed in front of the kids. You
Right.
dig what I'm saying? My
That's it.
grandfather always opened the doors. He always made sure that my grandmother didn't have to do any type of manual labor.
Right.
Like,
Right. 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 Yes. Indeed.
like whatever it was. Now, the most she might do was wash dishes
Right. Right.
or sweep. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
still manual labor,
But
but that
yeah.
was in the house. But
Hey, come
anything
on, sir.
outside
Yeah.
anything outside the house, oh
Right.
no. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It was.
Uh-huh.
But my grandmother also didn't let my grandfather cook. She wouldn't let
Mm.
him fix his plate.
Yeah.
She ironed his clothes. He ain't never had to wash. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just certain positions that they played back then. But
Right.
now, I think in the day and age that we in now, women have. I'm not gonna say they have kind of like taken on the role that some men should
Okay.
perform, but it's more independence than back in the day.
I
And
got you. Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
feel better about that.
Right.
But I
Right.
think a lot of men feel lesser about themselves because
Mm.
of that.
Okay.
Well, I'm not, but that's just my
Mhm.
opinion. Because
No, I
it's
get you.
like, well, I don't need you for this. I can make my own money. I don't
Right.
need you for this. I
Right.
can I can fix my own light bulb. I don't need you for this.
I
I
got you.
mean, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They just go into that little rant like, I don't need you. And a man, well, myself, I can't speak for all men. I want to feel like I'm needed. You feel me?
Right. No, no. That's
Yeah.
100%. You want to feel like
Yeah.
I hold a place in this household.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if I'm
Right.
not needed, what I'm here for?
Right.
I'm just your sexual piece of meat. Yeah, we ain't got we ain't got to stay together for that.
Right.
If you don't need me, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm
Right.
like, you know. But anyway, I mean, to answer your question about that, I think it's more heavily weighted on the men to
Right.
make changes.
Oh, I think I lost him. So he was saying, I think, men, yeah, heavily make the change, and I agree. I think a lot of a lot of what is happening if we are the leaders in our community. Okay, you back? Yeah, if we're the leaders in our community, we have to be the ones to lead in this charge. We have to be the ones to change the environment and have our ear and be sensitive to what our women are dealing with in areas because like we're leading. We don't sometimes because we're the men. We're not always totally aware, but sometimes we are. Just like we talk about as black men. When white racist people are saying something, what do the white non-racists say? Are you stepping up? Are you saying something? Are you speaking out? So just as much as black men, we want the white men to say something like, "Yo, this is wrong. Step in and say something." We should be stepping up for our
Like,
women. When we see the wrong, we need to say, "Yo, bro, that's not a good look on approaching." Yo, don't violate it by touching her. Like try to get attention.
yeah.
Obviously, she ain't interested. If it's the
And
moment, you know.
yeah, and I'm
So
sorry to
yes,
say that I was on the flip side of that coin that you just said.
right.
I was that brother
Got
that
you.
was doing everything that I should not have been doing. But
Right.
as I matured,
Yeah.
it I understood it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like once my daughter got of age,
Mm,
I say when she got maybe 15,
okay.
I started to understand because now she was starting to like boys, and
Right.
I knew the type of Negro I was. I'm like, oh man, you are so salty, boy.
Right.
You need to.
Right.
I mean, so I'm like, and I'm trying to tell her
Right.
not to find a guy
Right.
like her daddy. You feel me?
Wow.
Like, how
Right.
do you do that? But I
Right.
like,
Right.
don't find nobody like it. But I love you, daddy. Don't
Right.
find
Right.
nobody like me.
You fine. You got mom, y'all straight. Look at you. You
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. I'm
I'm
like,
good.
dude, because so I'm having these mental conflicts with myself. Like, I'm like, man, how you gonna tell her, but you out here just doing the most? Like, you just.
Right. Right.
So she opened my eyes, but she was already 15.
Right.
You,
I
you
got
you understand? Like, this should have been done 8, 10 years ago.
you. Right. I
You
hear
know
you.
what I'm saying? I mean, she already has an understanding
Yes.
of what type of dude she likes.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a dude like me. And I'm like, oh Jesus. But anyway, anyway.
I mean, would you say kind of change it, flipping it a little bit? Do you kind of you have your radar? You can kind of see. You feel like you can at least see the guys quicker, because you know what kind of guy you were. Can you kind of see the
Oh,
intentions? You know what's the
dude,
front, and you know what's like. Oh no, this dude seemed real. Like he seemed genuine.
man, I see it a mile away, man.
Yeah.
The guy that she got with, right? So I think
Yeah.
she was 17. She got
Right.
pregnant with the
Oh,
guy that and she wanted to get married and all this. And I had never met the guy,
oh
right?
wow.
So,
Okay.
my mom,
Wow.
my mom was catering this relationship, and I was trying to tell her to back off,
Right.
but my mama was still just, oh yeah, that's such. And I'm like,
Wow.
so I went down to Houston,
Okay.
met him for the first time. Like
Right.
the first 5 minutes, I knew he wasn't
Oh.
uh nothing.
Right. Let's just leave it at that. I got you. I got you.
I knew he wasn't nothing. So I was like, I met him, and then just didn't get a chance to meet his parents. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Didn't get a chance to do none of that.
Right.
Came back to Georgia. Blah blah blah. My mama was like, they want to get married now. My mom then went and bought two rings, one for my daughter and one for him. My mom then bought my daughter a wedding dress.
Wow.
She done bought him a wedding suit
Wow.
and a tie and all this.
Right.
Now my mama then took them to the courthouse and paid for the wedding for the marriage license.
Wow.
They ain't got no car to get down there. They
Wow.
ain't got no money. They ain't got nothing.
Right.
And then,
Nothing.
but my
Wow.
mama is telling me
Fulfillment.
like, "You coming to the wedding?" And I'm like, "For lack
Oh
of better term,
man.
no, I am not." That ain't what I said, but
Right, right,
for
right.
this program,
Yes, indeed.
no, I am not. So she was like, because my whole thing was, if I show up,
What's up, Pastor?
that means if I show up to the wedding, what's going on, Brian? So if I show up, that means that I approve this wedding.
Ooh.
So I'm like, I'm not showing up to this wedding. No, y'all have everybody involved lost their mind. I'm not gonna do it. I,
Wow.
I wasn't gonna do it. So, but they got married anyway.
Right, 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 of
Hey,
course.
now this marriage, so-called marriage, lasted
Right.
like 3 or 4 months.
Oh wow.
But uh, they didn't end. They ended up staying in this marriage because they couldn't get divorced legally for years. You dig what I'm saying? So and then when I went, I went to court. I went to Houston. Went to court with my daughter for child support. Right.
Right.
So I'm in. We in the hallway of the courtroom, and he comes up there, and he's shaking in his boots when he see. Because I only saw the guy like 2 times in
Wow.
my whole life, but I had a reputation in the
Right.
neighborhood, and you,
Gotcha.
so the reputation got back to him. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right,
So
right,
when he see me in the court, he all jittery and shake. He got his parents and they all, but that's a previous.
right.
I'm not. I've been out of Georgia for like almost 10 years. You know what I'm
I got
saying?
you. I got
But
you.
I did. I'm thinking I'm done with that. But I
Yeah,
guess my
yeah.
reputation lasted for that long.
Right, right,
But
right, right,
so
right.
anyway, make a long story short, he was all scatterbrained and went up there, told the judge he had this and he had that. And,
Gotcha, gotcha,
my daughter ended up getting the child support that she requested,
gotcha.
and that's the end of that story right now.
Right, right. So yeah, it's yeah. So I know, guys. I kind of took it there because I just wanted him to kind of dig into it, and we talk about and probably tomorrow we'll talk about the next generation of what we're kind of teaching our kids, and when it comes to toxic masculinity or masculinity to our sons, and what what's permissible and what's permissive, even as we teach our daughters the boundaries, like what's permissible, what's permissive, what should you be accepting, what should you be dealing with, and honestly, like, how do you feel? And it's okay to not like something, it's okay to say no to something, it's okay to be uncomfortable, like, and not force yourself to go somewhere that's not comfortable. If a job is treating you a certain way or you're feeling uncomfortable, being able to take it to management, and if management not happening, take it to daddy so daddy can take it to management. I mean, but like, being there, but not, and of course we've always talked about the covering as well, when it comes to having these understandings, and we are, and as men, shaping the future of our communities and our neighborhoods, which is why I want to have these conversations, because we need to have some level of defining line, like what's too much, what's not enough, what's a preference, and like I was telling Kaneem, Pastor, before you came on, just about teaching my son what's the boundaries, teaching them more of the safe space than the spaces that somebody like, some people don't like, so kind of stay away from those, but try to, I dig that you like her, just approach her, be nice, be cordial. She says no, it is what it is, let it be. I know from the past, it's like, well, she said no now, maybe I shoot my shot again. She said, like, and it's that spot. But it's like a culture we grew up in, like, especially if you're in the space like school or work.
Yeah,
You're like, all right, she said no this time. Maybe I could friend her up and we could, and I could turn it into something, and it's like, do you continue? Is that the culture we still want to stay in, or do we want to move out of that? What's the 2.0 of that? Because like you talk about, where did your wife come from? Like, did it take, was it one time having a conversation and we clicked, or was it I seen her several times and she was like, boy, if you don't get out of here, you know, and after a while, you know, we found out we had stuff in common. You know, she wasn't in a space that she wanted somebody at the time, or she was in between relationship, or you know, whatever was going on. You know, it's those moments though. You know, like what's the disrespect, or what's just part of the culture, what, you know, what is acceptable, you know. So that's kind of where I want to talk about, like, so what's the acceptable line. And I know it's just us guys, but talking to you guys, you got all of us having daughters, you know, how do you feel, you know, what's acceptable, how would you want a guy to approach your daughter, and what's a proper way, or what's on the line, like Kareem was saying, you know, back in the day, you know, they would he hung out with guys that would kind of grab, hey girl, grab her hand, you know, like that's you know. But now it's like it's kind of, it could be a violation unless they know her, you know, like you know somebody, then it's, you know, you kind of, we have a relationship. But if you a stranger, just like hey girl, hey, you know, just kind of reaching out, grabbing her hand, trying to get her attention, it's go ahead.
No, I was about to ask you. When you were in your earlier, and I go with you too, Brian. When you was in your earlier day, let's say 18 to 25,
Yes.
did you guys ever go to the clubs, like literally like nightclubs, like, you know?
Now, for me, I got married early, but I did, when I was in going to school, I went to a club. It's so funny, you remember the name of yours. I can't remember mine, but mine was probably about this big as this room.
You went to a juke joint. You ain't got no club.
It was tiny and dark. Close that door and just boom, it's just dark and a couple of lights. Like, it's crazy, you know, thinking about it. But yeah, so I've been to those, like, but I think I was with a couple of guys, but yeah, so I have done those kind of clubs.
How about you, Brian? What about you? Did you ever go to clubs when you was 18 to 25?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, man, it was just a whole different scene. Like our dating experiences and interaction and all that started in junior high.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the YMCA put stuff together to bring teenagers together in a safe space. We did it at the YMCA, and they play music from 7 to 10. It was called The Happening. You know, at the YMCA, where they bring us, you know, from the different high school, different junior highs and high schools, and you can come together and have a great time at the YMCA. But you know, they shut it down at 10 o'clock. Your parents had to come get you, you know, and it was chaperoned, but they let the children have their time. You know, if you wanted to play basketball, you go play basketball. If you wanted to swim, you go swim. Right. If you wanted to dance, they had an area where you could dance, you know, so you had access to everything. And if you wanted to shoot your shot at the dance, you shot your shot, you know, right. But whatever you had to do, it had to be done between 7 and 10, you know.
Yeah.
And from that, you know, in high school, there was parties. You know, we had a neighborhood park that had a pavilion, you know, and they'd bring the DJ out, they'd throw a party. We go out there and hang out, you know, till midnight and do our thing. And so I always had those experiences. You know, there was always something to do. There was always a party somewhere, or a house party. Right. And in the 80s, you had house parties. I've been to that. You go down into the basement, you know, put the red light on, the disco light, and turn up the music. The turntables and everything was going, and your parents was gone, and you know, it was like, you ever seen the movie Cooley High?
Yeah.
Remember the party where they dumped they knocked over the had a lot of that, you know. So and then from that, but then I joined the military. So in the military, I was, you know, I turned 18 in Korea.
Okay.
So it wasn't the club, it was the prostitute house. Right, it was, you know, you downrange. You know, $10 short time.
Yeah, gotcha. So, so your experience was you got straight to it. So you didn't have the whole, you know, the build up, because you knew what you was getting into when you was in Korea. Like, this is what I need. This is what I got. Make it happen.
No, you didn't know
So
what you were getting into at 18.
no, I'm saying as far as what you wanted. When you say there
Oh
was
yeah. Well, like
okay.
in Korea, you went downrange for two reasons: to get drunk and to have sex.
Yeah. So you knew it was simple as that.
Yeah,
But when I was talking about the club scene, when you're in the club scene, it's like, first of all, music is loud. So it's a club. They're playing
Right.
all the latest music, everybody, dancing, this, that, and the third, and everybody. If it's 18 and up, more than likely you didn't got into a club where alcohol is being served. So when you in there and you seeing all these women and you trying to catch one, you either right up in her ear, cheek to cheek,
Right.
or you grabbing her and pulling her to the side so y'all can
Okay.
have a private moment. So that's why I said when you grabbing hands and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's just to let her know, like, because when you trying to say, hey, you got this music blaring at you, just, you know what I'm saying? But
Okay.
you can't really talk monotone,
Right. Right.
you know what I'm saying? So you really got to get close
I
in
never had the
order to get,
courage to just grab a girl's hand.
well, practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
You
Right.
you perfect the art of them fingertips. You know what I'm saying? When
yeah.
them fingertips reach out, you know what I'm saying? Now, when she turns, she gonna look at you.
Right.
If she not attracted to you, she gonna keep moving.
Okay.
But if she like what she see, she gonna smile, stop, and give you an opportunity. Now, how you deliver it is gonna determine whether you're gonna get that number or more conversation.
I
That's
maybe
that's
it was short man's complex. If I was probably 6'2", 6'3", I'll probably have no
I,
issue.
I ain't 6'2" or 6'3".
But you know what?
Yeah.
You weren't me.
And like I said, but that's what. But I was running behind a bunch of guys who did that, so I could mimic them. I could see
Right.
them
Right.
Right.
like how they doing, how they moving, and you know what I'm saying. I just try. It was trial and error. I got
Right.
cussed out, shot down. I mean, I had so many failures,
Good morning,
but
Shirley.
all
Right.
these failures
Right.
all these failures was 14, 15, 16, 17. By the time I got to 18, when I could show my ID and get into a club,
Right.
I didn't have so many failures that a no didn't hurt my self-esteem at all. I'm thinking like, hey, girl, you just don't know what you're missing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you didn't let the number one spot leave you behind. I mean, my confidence was at a high level. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right. Right.
So it
But
really
I
didn't
think
make a.
it's a cultural thing, and I personally feel like there are so many fundamental principles that have been overlooked when it comes to educating our young people. Because Kaneem, you said it. You said you ran behind a bunch of guys,
Mm-hmm.
and so the question is, where was the training? The
Right.
training was out in the streets.
Yeah.
There was no gentleman pouring constructive knowledge
Right.
into you that you were taught from the streets, from your homeboys, the
Right.
culture
That's
of
it.
where you hung out. And I think that's the issue that we have. And you fast forward to the evolution of that today. And the all the years of changing the name of our female counterparts into profanity laced
Right.
Oh
acronyms
yeah.
and all that stuff, and so and then it being acceptable,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then you deal with the ratio of male to female,
Right.
what's available.
Right.
And so there's a high level of confidence. And because we live in a day and age now where our young men don't know how to handle the word no.
Right. And that's we dig into that. Definitely.
Right. I read an
Well,
article just yesterday morning about a group of girls who were downtown somewhere, Metro Atlanta, and a group of guys approached them. Some guy, he put the invite out there,
Right.
and the girls didn't accept it.
Right.
And he pulled out a pistol and started shooting at them
wow.
because they were rejected, because he was rejected. And I'm saying
Right.
that's an
Wow.
extreme,
Right.
but I see so many cases of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in young people today, that the rejection from a girl can create a reaction that is violent
Right.
from these young
Mm.
boys because they're so used to getting Yes, you know, and what I'm
Right.
saying is there are fundamental principle things that have been overlooked. And I'm not saying it's everybody, but I hear enough of it to say that we have a real problem with the engagement of male and females in this generation. We have a major problem, and social media just makes it worse.
Right.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
because
man.
social media is, you just have a menu, you know, and what young people see out there, they see something out there that is not reality.
Right. Right.
People aren't walking around here half dressed saying, "Come get me, tell me that you like me." That's not what's
That
happening.
is,
But
yeah.
social media sends that type of message. So when you go into the real streets, into the real world with the social media mindset,
Right.
and it doesn't match, you get angry because you don't understand why it's not matching.
True. True. I think, yeah, teaching, and it's so funny that it's almost like an entitlement complex, just
Yeah.
feeling I should, I said something, I should get something.
Yeah.
And moving into a space where, the no means no. I think we'll push that a lot in the 90s. The no means no. Knowing that there's not an interest. But I don't know. But where did that come from? Like, I mean, I guess in Kaneem's space, like someone might have taught them, like this is how you respond when someone says no. I guess like where did I so now I'm gonna sound old. Is it in the music? Is it, that's what they always, when our parents, they always like that daggone rap music. The violence coming from that rap music. But where is that such a culture of entitlement come from? And I think these are the moments that the toxic masculinity word continues to come up. Creating an environment where, women don't feel comfortable, women aren't safe in a space just to be out, and like we talked about yesterday, going to the gym in gym gear, gym gear is comfortable. It's generally form fitting because they're trying to just go to the gym and not be bothered, or not be, they don't want a shot at them. And it's like we discussed after the show, just, is it a space just to not be bothered, or not have someone bother me or talk to me, especially for married women, like the shot was already, someone shot the shot and I'm already in this for life. Like, I don't need you, like, I'm not interested. I'm not, and Trina had mentioned wearing a yellow band. You wear yellow if you're single, purple if you're not, like having these moments of when, can a woman just hang out or just be somewhere without feeling unsafe, or have
well,
I
think it's you have to be honest with yourself. Before I walk out the door, I have to look at myself. Okay. I have a purpose for what I'm putting on, and like it's funny when I go to get on my Harley Davidson, right? Okay. I don't just put on regular jeans and a regular shirt, right? I get my Harley boots, I get my Harley pants, I get my Harley shirt. I put my biker ring on, my silver bracelet. I get my gloves, my hat, and I dress up like a biker.
Right.
Right. And when I get on my bike, I want people to see me.
Right.
That's why I ride a Harley. That's why my exhaust is so loud, because I want attention. I want somebody to look at me, be like, man, he looks cool. That's a biker right there. I know that before I leave the house. So when the looks come, I'm gratified because I look like a biker. I'm out there. I'm enjoying the wind in my face. I love my motorcycle, the vibration and everything. I'm out there hitting it, but I also like looking cool on my bike.
I get what you're saying, but that's not always the case. Like, so
I get it. No, what I'm saying, what I'm saying is, my whole point is, we all have a motivating factor before we leave the house.
Going to work out.
And what I'm saying is, when you go to the gym, the natural mindset, if I'm going to the gym, I'm going to the gym to work out.
Yes.
You understand? I'm not going to the gym to hook up. I'm not going to, right? That's supposed to be the mentality.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But the reality is, That's not true in a lot of cases anymore.
I got you.
Gyms have reputations. Oh, that gym over there is a meat market. Oh, this one over here is, if you really want to work out, go to this gym. But if you want to be seen, if you want to interact with people, if you want to go and get your workout with a feeling like you're at the club, go to this gym. That's the stuff that's happening. And I'm saying you can believe it or not believe it, but talk to people that regularly work out.
No, I mean,
gyms have history. They have reputations.
I get it. So, but my thing is, the woman goes to a particular woman goes to the gym to work out. Like there's no sign like this is the meat market. This is where you work. So if I'm not in that culture, I won't know. Then if I go, so I don't want to, the gym is the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm new to the area. Like, how do I know? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make it right. Yeah, that's my main point. Like, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't make it right. But that's my point about we're missing fundamental education. Right. I'm not saying that it's right. We're talking about what's actually happening. Right. I'm not justifying anything, but if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about the reality of what's happening. Let's not sugarcoat it. The reality is gyms have reputations. Right. And you can find out very, very quickly the reputation of a gym. That's just reality. Okay.
So in this space, and you can even look like you want to share something. I think it's just would you say just a cultural shift? We need to change the messaging. Begin to have, like I'm saying, have these discussions. Like dude, that shouldn't be a space to approach women like that.
Right. But that's fundamental.
Yeah, and we, like sometimes I feel like I'm gonna turn Brother Legacy into the ad council and have a bunch of PSAs. Like with the music, when she's going to the gym, she wants to work out, not be bothered by your busted behind. This is a PSA from the Brothers of Legacy. Like just something out there to teach guys. But go ahead, Kaneem, go ahead.
No, I mean I was agreeing with both of y'all because I think it is a cultural shift.
Right.
And if you go back to the late 80s, early 90s, everything was about party, have a good time, laughing, joking. Everything was jovial, this, that, and the third. Then you move from the late 90s to the early 2000s, and then everybody wanted to be, because in the 80s and the late 80s and early 90s, I don't know if y'all remember, like that's when kind of like R&B was kind of like calming down, and hip hop was kind of like ramping up, but it was all fun. You know what I'm saying? Kid and Play and Kwame, and you know what I'm saying. Everybody was all having a good time. It was all about fashion, and I don't know if y'all remember the X Clan. It was Black Power. Everybody had on they little African chain, they African with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The red, black, blue, green, and everybody was just it was a Black Power thing. Right. And then in the late 90s and the early 2000s, everybody got super duper hard all of a sudden. Everybody wanted to be, pimps, and everybody wanted to be drug dealers, and everybody wanted to be hoes, and everybody wanted to be. I mean, it was just like that was the culture. Then from the mid 2000s to the 2010, it just kind of like switched again. Now it's just don't nobody really want to be gangsters. Everybody just want sex and money and drugs. Sex, money, and
think
drugs.
about it. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was say no to drugs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It went from like even the music. It went from say no to drugs to being a drug dealer.
Right.
The first was say no to drugs.
Right.
Then it was be the dealer.
Right.
And then it was popping mollies.
Yeah.
So you went from saying no to drugs to being a drug dealer to being a drug user.
Right. Right.
That's what I mean. That's literally what happened. And a lot of that for the communities was being driven by the music.
Right.
Yeah. And if you look at the age that we in now, the times that we in now, those who are in the age that I was talking about, 18 to 25, they were raised by drug dealers,
Right.
drug addicts,
Right.
and, and those type of folks. Like if you just look at them, like what did they have to look up to or learn
Right.
from?
True.
Right.
When your mama around here wearing a bra and spandex and jogging, whatever they call them, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what you. Oh, I look good in just a bra and some biker shorts,
Right.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go to Kroger in a bra and some biker shorts. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna read her comment because see, this is right here. Right here. It said, but people will tell Trina says, but people will tell single women, get out there, go places, the gym, etc. to meet people. Now we saying don't shoot your shot there. Right. And she got 3 question marks.
That's the point. I'm glad a woman told the truth.
Yes.
All right. You want to know why this stuff is happening? Because culturally, this is what people are saying.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, whoever's in her ear,
right,
is trying to give her some, I guess, alternatives to what she's been doing.
Right.
Yeah, whatever she's been doing may have not been successful.
Right.
So they're giving her the gym as maybe an alternative to what she's been doing.
Right.
But I mean, you can meet people anywhere, so it's not like the gym is just.
The issue is we neglect to keep it real. We cannot soft pedal, tiptoe around this stuff.
No,
all right. There's a reason. And I'm saying, I love a woman who cares about herself, who wants to look beautiful and all of that.
Right.
But you can't have it both ways. It'd be nice if you could have it both ways. But in this world, you're not going to put on spandex and walk outside and it look right and not expect anyone to say anything. Right. It's just not going to happen. That's not the world we live in.
I get you.
You're not going to put it all out there and then expect everybody to respect you and not say anything. That's not the world we live in.
Okay.
So how do you mitigate that from happening? I don't tell you. We can't tell you what to wear or anything like that. All I'm saying is the world we live in does not support the ideology of putting on something that's attractive, that's form-fitting, and going out into a place where there's a lot of masculine energy and thinking that no one's going to say anything.
Okay, so Sam says it's not about showing interest; it's how it's being done. Okay, so we're gonna fine tune this. So it's about. She said, "Then that's it." But I mean, if it's the interest, like you said, Pastor, going out in the form fitting, the spandex, I'm going to the gym. I want to be comfortable. I've just been blessed with a great body, and it form fits and shows, right? Hey, thank you, Mama Corey. And it shows. So when you're going, I guess it's how the approach happens. Like we have wives, some dude gonna say, "Hey, how you doing? You good? Everything good? You need me to show you some ways to do better on the treadmill?"
No, leave me alone. I didn't ask you if I wanted help. I'd have called you.
Right. I mean, but is that unacceptable? I'm just saying, like, is that unacceptable?
It's unacceptable to some and acceptable to others.
So, right.
You don't know until you open the box.
Right.
And you have to live with whatever comes from that. That's the reality. Right. So the only thing that we can do is teach, is educate. Right. That's all we can do. Listen, my wife is an elect lady of a church.
Right.
And sometimes she leaves out of this house feeling good about herself. And someone will say, that ain't how first ladies dress. How do first ladies dress?
Right.
Why can't she just be my wife? Why can't she just be? There's times my wife walks out this house and I literally want to get in my car and follow her.
I got you. Give me
That's just the truth. Sometimes she walks out of this house and I'm like, that's good if you with me. That ain't good if you going out by yourself.
Right.
But she a grown woman.
Right.
and she likes the way she looks, and so she goes out of the house.
Right.
And I have to sit back and say, bless her, Jesus. Don't let nothing happen, Lord. I don't want to catch a case. I love the Lord. I am filled with the Holy Ghost, but I will catch a case. And God knows that about me. So the only thing I can do is say, all right, if this happens, this is how you deal with it. If that happens, this is how you deal with it. I have to say this. I am a father of 4 daughters, and all my daughters are beautiful. And all my daughters don't dress with long ankle length gowns.
Right.
They don't do it. They want to be pretty. They want to be sexy. They want to be enticing. And I want to catch a case. So the only thing that I can do is teach them, have respect for yourself, know your surroundings, recognize that if this is what you're going to do, this is more than likely what you're going to experience when you go out there. Right. And here's how you react to that. You know, that's just the bottom line. That's the reality of where we live.
So Keita says, I believe that there's a time and a moment to do. It's okay to give a compliment. I guess it's the delivery. She also says, give me a compliment, but don't make me feel uncomfortable in you doing so.
But that's relative. There you go, Keita. That's relative, though. I don't know that what I said is made you uncomfortable, because your personality is different. Because the last time I said this to a sister, she gave me her number. Well, you're not that sister. I tried the same thing with you, and it made you uncomfortable. That's a gamble.
So
go ahead,
let me ask this though. Then do we encourage not to, tell our boys not to make that gamble?
No. You'll be solo forever. You'll never have a woman. Well, no. You'll never have. I mean, if you never open your mouth, you'll never get fed. How you not gonna speak to a woman who you attracted to? How she know you attracted if you don't ever say nothing? I mean, your facial expressions are only go so far, but eventually you're gonna have to move your lips, and sound gonna have to come out, because it just don't work that way. And going back to what the other, you said Keita, going back what she was saying, it is in the delivery. Because when you give a compliment, you know when it's received, if something needs to go behind it. Do I need to follow up, or do I need to keep moving? As a man who got experience, now I can't say a 18 to 25 would understand that, but anybody 25 and older, you should understand that if she receives it and kind of gives you a little room to play with, then follow through with it. But if she's like, okay, thank you, have a good day, that means go about your business. Have a good day. I'm not even trying to hit no more of that.
But I think we lost an entire generation of tact.
But I mean, but look at when you have, because when I was, let me say, my mom had me when she was 20, 21. But when you have kids having as teenagers, like 15, 16, and they grow up and they 30 and they kids 15, 16. I mean, it's kind of almost like y'all brothers, sisters and sisters, or brothers and sisters, because y'all still growing up together. You know what I'm saying? So my daughter used to always talk about, when I turn 21, we're going to go to the club together. Girl, you better stop thinking stuff like that, because we ain't going to never do that. We ain't going to never go to the club together. We ain't going to never drink no alcohol together. We ain't going to never. Even to this day, we ain't never been in a social experience like a club, or we ain't never seen each other drink alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she 29, 28, 29. Like, even to this day, I'm like, that's something I choose not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would make me feel like, well, even though she grown, she married, she got 5 kids, I still don't want to see you drunk. I don't want you to see me drunk. You know?
I got you. So Keita says this, but to your point, Pastor, if you make me feel uncomfortable, how can you let it be known that I am uncomfortable without the fear of being shot?
If you make me feel uncomfortable, how can you let it be
Yes.
known that I am uncomfortable without the fear? No, listen, wisdom is the principal thing, right?
Mhm.
And so every situation is different. You can't
Right.
control, you don't know what's inside someone. You don't know what's driving them. You don't know who they are,
Right.
right? The only thing you can do is what you have been trained to do. That's it. You don't like something, you express that you don't like it. I encourage my female family members and counterparts to exit the situation as rapidly, as quickly as you can. Just get away from it. You know, if you're feeling toxic energy, feeling bad energy, you get away from that energy. You know, if you can't control crazy, you just can't.
Okay.
And a lot of these situations happen, and it doesn't make sense that it happens, but it does. But all I'm saying is we have to live our lives. We got to get out there. We got to have fun, enjoy ourselves, live our lives, understand our surroundings, and all of that. You're getting into the point of things that you cannot control. But if you don't like something,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with expressing that you don't like it. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I
Yeah,
just don't.
I think to AD's when you brought it up, I think it was the initial encounter of what you were talking about, correct? Like when
Yeah.
you initially see somebody, or
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, you compliment them.
Yeah.
You like, okay, I see. Oh, you're looking good today, and she accepts it. Well, thank you. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But if she says thank you and replies, well, you're looking good also.
Right.
That's a door opener.
Right.
I need to follow that up, because if you would just accept it and move on and not reciprocate,
All right.
that means go ahead, bro.
No, you was good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I had a thought. So, all my ladies in here, let me ask you this, because let's have this conversation just like I did a little poll yesterday. How many ladies like to be randomly complimented? And randomly means, there's no connection, you don't know them, just let's just say for the sake of argument, a stranger, like you don't have any connection with them, because it's in places like church, like I see lady, oh lady, you look nice, I know them. Like if I see Kenny's wife, oh, it's it's just a general compliment. Like at work, oh
Yeah,
wow, you tell your coworker that you kind of been chatting with, oh, you look really nice today. It's we have a connection. So it's harder to feel uncomfortable unless I'm like, ooh, girl, like you looking nice,
Yeah,
like
I don't know anyone that does not appreciate a good compliment.
all right, let's throw that out there.
Yeah.
Who stranger? Because I'm
How many
random.
of
saying
you all? How many of
This is
you all are
random.
silly enough to live a
Just
life that says I don't need nobody complimenting me?
This is
I don't
random
ever
now.
want to hear
This
a
is
compliment
say,
from
don't say
anybody.
that, Pastor. You can't, don't preference, because
Yes,
now
I
they're gonna be
can.
like,
You can
no,
agree
because then they're not
or
gonna
not
listen.
agree.
No, they're
You can
not
agree
gonna
or not
put the
agree with
compliment.
me.
Okay, so Sam said thumbs down. She doesn't like it. She don't want the random compliment.
no random.
I did
Oh,
that. That was my invitation to get a comment from Sam because I
no
knew what she
random.
was about.
Okay, hold on. I love it. I'm a Kool-Aid man with that. All right. Deborah says, I don't have a problem with compliments. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Lisa says, I love compliments. All right. So Dr. Rollins says, compliments are fine.
Yes.
Asterisk. It's how it's done.
Yes.
Yeah,
But the bottom line is you said a general compliment. And so her point is
random.
a
Well,
random
random.
compliment is
Random.
fine.
Random.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a compliment from somebody you know.
Yeah. No
Somebody who you
connection.
have
I've never seen you.
no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
No, just first time I probably even ever seen you in my life.
Yes. And somebody I would think that you would be, but I'm not a woman.
Most people have no problem with random compliments.
Yes.
Okay. That's just the bottom line. And that goes for men as well.
Right.
Right. Listen, it's difficult to have this conversation and accept the fact that positivity, you can't, there's no way that positivity should be received negatively.
Right.
We're not wired that way. From the time we're born, we like positive reinforcement. Period. That's why baby talk is baby talk. because you're positive. Oh, good job! Oh, that's beautiful. That's great. Why do we draw pictures for our parents?
Right. To get compliments. But let me
make our parents feel good, and they compliment our pictures.
Right.
Why do we dress up for Easter Sunday? Why do we take pictures in school?
You wearing that dress? Right. No, you're right. That's
yeah. I mean, it's a flip side to that also. But yeah, you are correct. Positive reinforcement.
Okay, but
is taught.
Let's do this, man. I'm running over, but I don't care. Listen or let me ask you this then, because we had this conversation. So, ladies and guys, do you feel like every compliment, stranger, there's a motive behind it? There is a motive behind it. It's and I already know kind of where Pat stand, but he could say like probably. I mean, it's not bad, guys. It's not. I'm just
from a random,
like a random compliment. Yeah. Do you feel like there's motive behind it, or do you give random compliments to ladies that you don't know, that you never seen before?
Man, it's. I mean, as a mature man,
Ron says no. All right. Random, no. All right. Lisa says no. All right.
As a mature man, I would say I don't. That's
speak as an immature man.
It's always as a young man. As a young man,
always.
It's always somebody. As a man, now, I mean, for a woman, I can't speak on it.
Okay.
But for a man, see, that's all these women talking. For a man, it's something behind it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me now, because I don't know too many men, and I'm not saying they're not out there. I know they're out there, but I don't know too many men who have female friends who they are attracted to, and they've never had any type of encounter. Like they may have had an encounter 10, 15 years ago, and it didn't work out, but they stayed cool. But I don't know of any men who have female friends,
right,
who they are not attracted to, or didn't have an attraction to. It may have not worked out,
right,
but y'all initial encounter was an attraction. It wasn't, hey, we liked this together 10 years ago, and this is what. No, y'all was attracted to each other 10 years ago. It didn't work, and now y'all just cool now.
Right.
But yeah. That's just my opinion, though, because I've never ever had a female friend
I got you.
who I was
just
not
friends.
Attracted to.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm saying. I've never had a female friend that I was not attracted to.
Okay.
Because I just don't. I guess it was my upbringing. Like if it was a woman who was attractive, and I it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
Right.
But my wife,
I have. When I was a little boy, like my mother had girlfriends who had daughters, and so there was always a girl hanging out with us, with me and my brothers. And they'd spend the night. It was always somebody around. There was always somebody in our house. So, and it was just a house full of boys for us, And what's interesting is when I grew up at a young age, I never came on to women like that. If I had a girlfriend, it's because she asked me out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was managed. Pastor. I was terrible. I ain't gonna even lie to you. But go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, it's a lot of it has to. We always had girls around, and so it always made us want a sister.
I gotta leave it open. Leave it
right. So my whole life, I've never had an issue with female friends, because to me, I would always see them as, that's a sister, that's a play sister, or something like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't have any siblings.
That's because of that experience at a young age.
Yeah, it was.
Right? I can tell you, we had Kenyatta, Tamala, Tracy Humble. We had all these girls who would hang out with us from time to time because their mothers hung out with our mother.
Okay.
And so when our mothers hung out, my mother had more children. So naturally bring your child over, and your child hangs out with my children while we hang out. And in a lot of cases, it was a little girl.
My mama was hitting the club. My mama was she won the sexiest hip contest at the French Connection. But
Wow. Okay.
a totally different upbringing than that. Because like I said, I was the only child, so I didn't have those interactions to kind of like suppress like how you had it, Pastor. You was surrounded by young girls at a young age, so they were friends to you,
You know how
and
to do it.
you considered them part of your inner circle family,
Right. We were
and stuff like
we were
that.
comfortable interacting with girls
Yeah.
without it becoming something else.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't have that experience. Yeah, I didn't have that experience. So
Yeah,
my
people used to tell me, she like you, right? The people would have to tell me that.
Yeah.
really,
She only here because she like you. What?
oh,
Like,
I had to
even looking
figure
at it
out.
like that.
I had to figure out, the girls with the giggling and hitting on you and all that.
Right.
Like,
oh yeah,
okay,
Those are
yeah,
signs.
no,
Those are
yeah.
signs. Right. Right.
no,
Wow.
yeah, I was total opposite in that. I knew
Right. All right. So
right up front.
So the brother legacy consensus is we're getting rid of hitting on women at the gym, but we're keeping the compliments.
What's that?
I said we're keeping the compliments, but we're getting rid of the hitting on at the gym.
Yeah, well, but again,
I know.
I'm gonna reiterate it. It goes back to home training.
No doubt.
The gym is
Yeah.
not the place to go find a mate.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
you want to go hang out socially and all of that and find friends, and that's cool. You can go there, as a single person. It's great because normally it's single people, but typically I think it was Keita who put it in there. You don't want to be involved with people. She said, I picked a time where I know the gym would not have as much traffic.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. She's strategic
Yeah.
about her working out.
Right. So there's a time and a place. Time and place.
I agree.
Time
I
and place.
agree. So
All right. I think we solved one problem. Thank you. Brothers.
well, I will say
Changing the
we
world
talked
one
about
conversation at a time.
And it's packaging. And here's the other thing. I think somebody
Listen.
said it matters about the packaging. Have you ever gotten mad at UPS or FedEx because of the state of your package when it showed up? Right.
Well.
And you don't know whether it was the person who dropped it off that damaged it,
Right.
or whether it got damaged on the airplane or whatever the case might be. You just frustrated at what the package looks like when you got it. Right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to you is not everybody knows how to package stuff.
Mm.
Not everybody has proper training.
Right.
To Kaneem's point, because of the crowd he hung around with,
Right.
he learned a
I
certain language.
Right.
Yeah.
And it worked sometimes, but you also heard him say, I got cussed out sometimes.
Right.
A lot.
That means what worked for one may not work for the other.
Right.
But the language didn't change. He had to evolve as a person
Right.
Yeah.
for his language to change. In other words, he had to get exposed to something new, something that worked better for him,
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's what happens. And so in a lot of cases, it's not that you're dealing. Now, there's some bad people out there, some jacked up people out there, but that's not always the case.
Right.
Some people have good intentions, but just bad packaging.
Right.
And sometimes you, as a woman, you can help somebody, you can educate them and say, listen, you did that, or you did that all wrong.
I didn't want the package. I didn't want the package though.
Well, listen, I don't care what anybody says. If the deliverer, if the delivery person
Yes.
is right, you don't care how it's packaged.
So Rich said, Jim, you can chat normally, and they say, let's have a coffee that's different. Nope. Rich, no more gym talk, sir. You go to gym, work out, talk to them outside the gym. That's the consensus.
Yeah, but someone can interpret that as, I know what you mean by coffee.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Netflix and chill ruined all of that.
Right. He
Yeah,
said, packaging is a skill. I'm getting better. I'm much better at packaging these days. My younger years was trial and error, and mistakes. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. You know, as always, I'm gonna twist this conversation a little more tomorrow. So stay tuned. Make sure you are staying connected. Also, order your BOL apparel as well as sign up to be a partner. Go to www.brothersoflegacy.com. www.brothersoflegacy.com. What else? What more can I say? Let's see. Tune in. Be sure to join our text community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss any broadcast on Legacy Walker Network. We had a great conversation yesterday with Random Talk. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but we had a lot of good conversations. So make sure you check out Purposeful Forever Show, Random Talk yesterday. And I think that is it. Continue to stay safe, wear the mask. I know. Keep the 6 feet. Keep us all from just being sick, period. Flu, colds, snotting, all that. I think I love the 6 feet. I don't like the mask. 6 feet is good. And the limited spaces. Like, you ever go place now, you're like, man, it's not so packed in here anymore. You know, that's the part I love. You know, I don't mind the wait. I just don't like it packed. All right, guys. So as always, be blessed. Know that we love you. God loves you more. And we'll see you in the AM. Peace out, guys. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging, make sure sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know see this show, I appreciate you as well.